When I was a child, I had the best babysitter in the whole wide world. She never yelled at me, and she always gave great big hugs. She was always willing to play my favorite game, Memory, with me, as many times as I asked. She even taught me how to play poker. She also made the best tuna fish sandwich in the whole wide world. I later found out that celery salt was her secret ingredient. Don't tell. I can't imagine anyone who could ever compare to my babysitter, my Nana, other than maybe Mary Poppins, of course, which was Nana in my favorite movie. On the rare occasion when my Nana wasn't available, my parents would call in reinforcements to babysit the Zilly kids. Let me tell you, though, they just never compared. These other babysitters were boring. They parked their bottoms on the couch, tuned into MTV, and that was the extent of our night. Most of them didn't even know how to play memory. Who doesn't know how to play memory? Well, it must have been a full moon that late spring night when I was introduced to the worst one of them all, or so I remember. Her name was Mildred, and she smelled like mildew. The name fit her well. She walked with a hunch and wore clothing that had never seen a washing machine. When she walked in the house, a cold breeze drifted across my neck, and as I was actually convinced she was a witch, for sure. What were my parents thinking? How on earth were they going to leave my brother and me with a witch? Unfortunately, there was no discussion to be had. My parents were out the door before I could even turn in their direction, and Mildred locked the door tight. She quickly spun and stared at me. I couldn't speak. A stomachache came on quick, and my eyes filled with water. I stood there, motionless, and Mildred stood there too. What felt like a minute went by, and then she patted my head, mumbled, "Don't worry, your parents won't be late," and walked into the family room. I still stood there motionless, with a thousand thoughts exploding from my head. What did I do to deserve this? Where was my Nana? Where? Where were any of the 30 horrible babysitters my mom had tried out? I would gladly sit on the couch with one of them and allow my brain to waste away for a few hours than to be left with this witch that looked hungry for little children. "Come on, Kelly," she called again. "Let's go in the family room and see what your brother is up to." She probably wanted to see who had chubbier cheeks and decide which one was going to go in her witch's brew first. I ran ahead of her, getting my brother's attention as I slid across the wood floors with my footsie pajamas. Ryan quickly popped his head up from underneath the coffee table where he was stacking G.I. Joe figures. "Ryan, would you like to play a game?" Mildred asked as she crept into the room behind me. "I think Kelly would like that, seeing she hasn't spoken a word since the moment I stepped in your lovely home." "Sure," Ryan said in response. "What game are you thinking of?" "Well, what game do the two of you like to play?" she prompted. I stood there like a deer in headlights. My mind was still spinning. Ryan couldn't decide on a game, and I still hadn't unlocked my jaw by the time Mildred suggested a game of hide and seek. Ryan agreed and dragged me out of the room as measly old Mildred began to count. 1, 2, 3. "What is wrong with you?" asked Ryan as we tiptoed through the kitchen. "Why are you acting so weird?" "What is wrong with me?" I gasped. "Do you not see the witch standing in our family room, counting to 100? She is probably saying a witch spell right now. 1, 2, 3 little tootsies, stir and boil, then poof, we're going to be supper for her one-eyed owl and peg-legged Sal." "Kelly, you're insane. She's not a witch. Mom and Dad would never leave us with someone they didn't know or trust. Come on, you need to go and hide, and relax while you're at it." "This is the first babysitter that actually offered to play with us," replied Ryan, as he ran up the stairs, leaving me dangling in the dining room. I wasn't buying it. This woman was a witch, and I was not going to let her find me. I was turning 5 next month. I wanted to live to see my little 80, 81, 82, screeched the witch. I panicked as I realized that I had just seconds to hide my blonde hair in Santa Claus red pajamas somewhere in the house. "Here I come," she announced. "Here I lay you down to rest," I whispered softly. Mildred tiptoed around the house. I heard her open closet doors and shuffle through coats. I was positive she had a knife or some type of weapon in her hand. I swear I saw its shadow. She walked in the bathroom and out to the garage. She circled the room I was in a half dozen times. A few more minutes went by, and I heard my brother shout, "You got me!" I lay there silently, unsure of this babysitter, this witch in disguise. This woman thought she could take my Nana's job. No way would I let that happen. Not a chance. Soon the clock struck 9, and Mildred's voice began to thicken with fear. Kelly, if you're here, please come out. I'm really getting scared. My brother was now sleeping on the couch, and it was just me and the witch left. I began to feel a little remorse. Maybe I should come out. Then I heard her voice again. I'm calling your parents, or maybe the cops, she cried. She wouldn't, right? Good evening. Sorry to disturb you on such a busy night, but can you please put Mr. Zilly on the phone? He's at a table with 8. I believe they had a 7:30 reservation, said Mildred to the maitre d' on the phone. She had actually called the restaurant where my parents were dining. Now I wasn't sure who to be more afraid of, the witch or my parents. Hello, what is wrong? Said my father in a panic. It's Kelly. She's missing. I'm not sure what to do, Mildred replied. Missing? What do you mean? She's only 5 years old. She's afraid of the dark and wears tutus and hot pink colored clothes. How can she go missing? My father had yelled. I'm sorry, Mr. Zilly. I know. I am sorry. But, it's been a while. We had started a game of hide and go seek, she mumbled. And she just must have gone outside. Ryan has no idea where she is. We've been searching for an hour and I just don't know what to do. Mildred was now in tears. Call the police. I'm on my way. Call the neighbors. Their phone number is on the basement door. My little girl can't be missing. What is wrong with you? Screamed my father as he hung up the phone. Lying there, so close to the action, I could hear every syllable that rolled off my father's tongue. I could have come out. I could have apologized and cleared up this mess, but I was too scared by that point. Plus, there was still a slight chance in my mind that the phone call was actually a trick that this witch was playing on me so she could have her treat. Me. Ding dong. It was the police. They were actually here? I can't believe she actually called the police? I must have dozed off. It was getting late. Hello, did you call the police? Can we help you? Asked the officers in a stern but friendly voice. Yes, I'm afraid the little girl who lives here is missing. I'm the babysitter, and it's my first night. I'm only 16 years old, and I don't know what to do. Their father is going to kill me, and so is mine. Mildred testified to the police as tears poured down her cheeks. Don't worry, young lady. We will sort this all out. I'm sure she's at a neighbor's house or down the street at the park. They quickly realized how scared the teenager girl was. She probably was more scared than the little girl who was missing tonight. 16? No way. That couldn't be true. Mildred looked so much older, and she looked like a witch from that movie Hocus Pocus I had watched the night before. Her long, straggly black hair looked like there had been cobwebs growing it for years. There was no way this girl was 16, and there was no way I was coming out from my hiding spot now. I knew what I had coming for me. If it wasn't going to be from the witch or the police, then it was going to be from my dad, who was on his way home right now. As I began to question my actions and truly feel guilt, my father charged through the door. The police, my father, and the babysitter stood just feet away from me. I listened to them as they listed every single detail of the night, from the time my parents left the house to the time the game of hide and seek began. Then I did it. I had never felt so bad in my life. My eyes gazed up at them as buckets of tears fell down my pouty face. I'm sorry, I cried. Daddy, I'm so sorry. No one said a word. No one reached out a hand to help me up from underneath the couch. The lights from the cop car flickered in my eyes. The look of disappointment in my father's eyes was the next thing that caught my attention. Just as we made eye contact, he rose up his arm and pointed his finger up towards the stairs. I didn't have it in me to say a thing. I just did as he pointed and silently carried my exhausted body up the stairs. The dozen or so stairs that I normally hopped or skipped seemed more like 500 dreadful long stairs tonight. I reached my bedroom. I crawled in my bed, pulled up my blankets, and took a few deep breaths. I could hear my father downstairs apologizing for all the damage I had caused. I could tell he was mad and utterly embarrassed as he repeated himself over and over again. Then I heard my mother walk out the door. She was giving the babysitter a ride home, and that meant my father would stay home to keep an eye on my brother and me. My father would stay home, and my mother would leave so she didn't have to hear him scream and shout at me. A minute or two passed, and then I heard the thing I feared most, my father's firm feet stomping up the stairs. My eyes began to water again, and I pulled my blanket even tighter. The doorknob twisted slowly, and the dull light from the hallway shined in. As I caught a glimpse of his face in the light, I suddenly remembered that the babysitter I had dread of, that would never compare to my one and only grandma, was gone. The babysitter, the witch, she would never return because now she was more terrified of me than I had ever been of her.